Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the FN Story. I am joined alongside a content creator, journalist, and a friend of mine, UnamusedBryson. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Gun. What's up with you?
Not too much. Today's been a nice one. I lost power earlier, so I had to go
Oh
outside and
yeah,
do stuff, and I
that
got a
always that
bunch of
always helps.
stuff done.
Sunlight, dude. Sunlight first thing in the morning, make your day 10 times better.
Yeah, I normally try and do that. I'll walk outside in my boxers to let my dog out, and just
Yeah,
stand there for 5 minutes, soak it all in.
till like a neighbor sees you and they call the police or something.
I have pretty good cover. Like on the one side, there's trees blocking it. The other side, it's my garage. So there's not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
anyone that can see me. Otherwise, I would kind of feel bad about it. But
yeah. I try to walk the dog in the morning too. He's right back there
smart.
though. He's hanging in for the podcast.
What a cutie. What's his name?
Calvin.
Calvin. Oh, he just heard you.
Oh yeah, he's ready. He's ready to play. So
All right, so let's dive in. I want to just go into something trending right now because as we're recording this, Ninja has started his first stream on everything. Like not YouTube and Twitch, literally YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. He is live on all of them, and this is new for large creators. I've seen a few other people try and do this, but looking at the numbers, dude's kind of popping off. Like, what is your general thoughts on this, and what'd you think when he announced this the other day?
yeah, I mean, this goes in well with other things we plan to talk about today because he's really utilizing mass media to like the far biggest extent possible. Um, it's crazy because you talk about like you haven't seen a lot of like larger creators do this yet, but you've seen some smaller creators do that, and I think a big thing is like fear of like losing their reputation on a certain platform. Like Ninja had to give up his partnership to be able to do this on Twitch because Twitch only allows you to multi-stream on TikTok. You can't multi-stream onto like YouTube and Twitch at the same exact time.
Mm-hmm.
They did announce the other thing the other day where you could do it like different times, or you could stream on YouTube at other times now. Because originally as a partner you couldn't, but he had to get rid of that, which definitely takes away some monetization on his Twitch because he definitely makes more, takes more of a cut from ads, subs, everything as partner. But I think honestly, like you just said, it's popping off. I think that's gonna be. I mean, I think he'll end up doing better because of that. But I think it's crazy because it's cool seeing a creator decide to not limit himself to just one platform. And you know, I've seen some stuff. I saw somebody post on social media a great point with how creators limit themselves to one platform that could easily, with the click of a button, completely end your career by getting rid of your platform. Whereas now Ninja is open to so many different aspects within the streaming game. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm hoping that like it's not just gonna be like a 1-2 day thing and then it kind of flops after that. Like everybody's like, okay, we checked him out on the day he did it for the first time, and then everybody stops. I'm hoping it kind of paves the way, and also, you know what? I think it's good for other sites too because it kind of gives that. And I've always said this. I've always said it's a good thing it's a good thing for Twitch and for Twitch streamers when a big streamer leaves for YouTube, because that just creates good competition. That means Twitch is going to start trying to step their game up, and they're going to start doing things to help make it better for other Twitch streamers so they don't have other people leave, yada, yada, yada. So I think it's good for the streaming community as a whole because it's just going to make sure that multiple different platforms are going to start up in their game. We could see TikTok start partnering with other creators. Like it overall, I hope it plays out really well. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And Ninja's been a trailblazer pretty much
hmm
the entire last 5 years of
oh
his
yeah.
life. He was one of the first major content creators to go on talk shows on TV,
Yeah.
not just on some other creators talk show. And
hmm
he was doing things. He signed that huge deal with Mixer. He was one of the first to do that. Got a freaking bag, and then they closed down. So that's
hmm
also sick.
Got a
And
bag after they closed down from him too.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested to see who follows in his footsteps because everyone's going to be watching this right now, and I'm sure there's a ton of creators, and I'm sure Ninja had a deal to sign with a platform to stream with them, and either it wasn't good enough or someone in his team as well as him was like, let's try this, see how this works. And worst case scenario, he could just go sign a deal to be exclusive somewhere else after he uses this. So it'll be interesting to see. Just wanted to like touch on that. And is that, I guess you're a Twitch partner, so you can't technically do that. Have you thought about streaming on multiple platforms?
Before I knew that it was like against partner TOS, I was like, oh, maybe I should try this. Now, granted, I do not have the streaming PC to even. I've tried streaming TikTok and Twitch at once, and I can barely, like, it lags a ton. My
Okay.
stream PC is not the best. My gaming PC is where it at. I need to get that upgraded. Whereas like Ninja right now, I'm sure his like he has to have like the best of the best quality. I mean, he probably already does, so it's not like. Sure he has like 5 streaming PCs in that room.
Yeah, I tuned into his stream. He had a guy making sure all the
Yeah.
streams were working well. So, you
Yeah,
know,
he's got it figured out. He's been planning this. I mean, they had that whole like little show he had with on site when he was playing with Cypher and then got off and you're right, Ninja has been a trailblazer. I mean, that he literally is like I like think of like what made streaming big. So like it was obviously like a popular thing, but it was not like a household thing. Like people, not everybody knew about esports in the Twitch world until like beginning of Fortnite when Ninja blew up and everybody was like, "Whoa, you can make a full career doing this?"
yeah, it was that blue-haired kid that was
It
just
was, yeah, yeah.
everywhere. And then like now you could ask somebody like, can you name one streamer? 90% of people probably go straight to Ninja,
Oh
even if they
yeah.
have no idea like what Twitch is even.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So, all right. Well, I was interested to hear what somebody else's thoughts were on that and where it was. But let's talk about you a little bit. I'm interested. Do you want to go tournaments or you want to go writing first? Or where do you prefer, Bryson?
Um, you know what? I'm whatever you're more interested in hearing me talking about right away. I'll get into it.
All right, let's do the writing because I've enjoyed writing myself. That's where I got
Yeah,
my career started. And I know that you've been writing for esports.gg for a while now. You also write for your school, if I'm correct.
I
And
did. I did. Not anymore.
okay,
I took a break from that.
nice. And so tell me about that. Like, what do you write about? What has that experience been like for you? And just general thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, first off, got to give props to you for you literally are the one that got me my job at with esports.gg.
Well,
If you
thank
guys
you.
don't know, Gunn is a great writer too. He might not be writing as much these days, but he is an OG within the Fortnite writing scene. So you got me that. You helped me out big time. But yeah, and I've always been a writer. I always loved creative writing. I had my times in like high school where I kind of would hate writing for a little bit because of just the whole educational system and being forced to write about things that you don't enjoy. But refining that after high school and doing it not even just in journalism ways. I really didn't get into journalism until the past year. Before that, I was writing music. I write screenplays. I work on my own like screenplays and stuff that I write. But I really got into journalism starting. I was in a class in college at Illinois State University, and I'm a PR major, but I was in a class for journalism just because it was one of my electives, and we had to run this blog, and I was like, I'm gonna run mine on esports because like that's literally what I deal with daily is with streaming and stuff. So I was like, that'd be kind of cool. So I started writing about esports, and the professor he like was the head of the ISU's paper, and he was like, hey, we ISU's trying to do a ton of stuff with esports. We have nobody talking about it, so we'd love for you to try and highlight that. So he told me that. I was like, okay, cool. So I got in there, started helping him out, would get something on their paper like once a week, and that's when you and me were casting for that elite tourney, and you had mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get more into that, and you're like, well, they need more people, and then you got me that, and that was back in January, and been writing for esports .gg ever since, and I think And since then, I've really upped my not just writing skills, but like obviously the amount I write and stuff, doing it actually for career wise. But it's something when you start writing and you're writing about things you're actually passionate about. Because like I primarily write mainly about Fortnite stuff, whether it's Fortnite news, Fortnite guides, or fun little quirky Fortnite articles about the top 5 best uh limited time game modes that I've ever seen the light of day in Fortnite. And then here
Okay.
and there, like you talked about the ninja thing. I literally wrote something yesterday about his announcement, stuff like that. So, I think the writing aspect of it is really still important within just the esports community. So I think there's still like a big need for that, and I don't think people realize that as much. So that's a especially with Fortnite, because our game has literally like the youngest fan base out of most competitive esports games. So I mean, you are, and with mass media, like we're talking about with Ninja and stuff, with all these different types of ways to get news out there. With the younger generation, reading might not be something that is as much as their favor as being able to watch a quick TikTok on the news of it. So I think that's why writing is so important to get things out there, because to keep that alive, kind of. Because I mean, you can look at it also as like an art form, to keep writing in the picture, keep people constantly reading, and you know what? At the end of the day, like I do think, some people will release 4 or 5 minute news videos, and there are moments where like where I would definitely so there's times where I definitely enjoy sitting back and actually watching a video rather than reading like an article about it. But there's
Right.
also times where it's like I see a headline, say I see a headline for like this news, and it's like it says it's like a 5 minute video, and I'm like on the run, or I see the headline for a little article and I'm on the run. I'm much more inclined to click on that article and like skim through it really quick and kind of get like the idea that I want from it. So yeah, that's I mean, that's kind of like my spiel on writing right now. But do you like, I mean, what do you like? You write yourself, like you used to write for esports.g. Like, do you have any like importance yourself to it, like that you think about?
Yeah, so I never liked to write when I was younger, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then in college, I wrote a ton, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of research papers. And I really enjoyed that process of like learning things and then getting what you learned onto paper in a way that made sense
Yeah.
for other people to understand it. And I think that process, whether it even just be for like writing that ninja article, for you could probably easily throw words out there and it wouldn't make sense to other people, but
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense to you. But then crafting all those thoughts in your brain onto a piece of paper, I love doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was really interesting because writing as much as I did, so I wrote for Daily Esports pre
Yeah.
World Cup, and then through the World Cup, I probably finished like one of the chapter 2-ish of Fortnite, like early chapter 2. And then I also had a couple ghost written articles and like Reuters and things like that. But
Cool.
it's such a cool process to be able to explore your thoughts, write them down, and then read it back. Okay, this doesn't make sense. This is a solid sentence. Let's work
Mm-hmm.
around that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't do that, right? Sometimes it's like, oh shit, this news just broke. I need to write this as quickly as possible. You throw it to the editor, let them do that, and make
Yeah,
sure.
that's the editor. That's the best part about it, is like thinking about I think about like high school papers and how much I would proofread it, and I'm like, obviously I still proofread my work, but it's not as like I'm not getting graded on exactly what I wrote. Like if I miss something, we got that editor that's there that will fix it for me. So
Yeah, and within Fortnite, like you mentioned, I think it's really important to have written articles. Something we discussed on the Fortnite podcast with Monster and Panda was Reno wrote a thread about how competitive Fortnite is lacking any kind of like mass media written content,
mm-hmm.
which it is.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, I've written those articles, no one reads them.
Mhm.
Literally no one gives a fuck about competitive Fortnite that's going to read articles. And maybe they do, right? MJP is someone that's been doing that for a long time, and
Yeah, Smash
clearly
that guy.
he wouldn't be continuing to do that if absolutely no one read them. But at the same time, you could write a guide of how to do this challenge within Fortnite versus an interview with Booga. And how to do the challenge would get infinitely more clicks than an interview with Booga because no one cares about a written article with
Mhm.
arguably one of the greatest players of all time. And it may accumulate stuff over time, but it's a weird spot, man. And that's
It is.
ultimately why I stopped, is because I didn't care to write anything other than the competitive articles.
Yep. No, I feel that.
And Mally, he was always trying to be a good dude. He's is he like still director or head of content or?
Yeah, he's still the content director. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and he was always like, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?" I'm like, "Bro, I don't care about that. Like, I'm not going to write about something I don't care about." And credit to him, like he was one of the best bosses to work with. Very flexible and things, and then eventually he was like, "All right, dude, you haven't written anything in 3 months. I think this is officially like goodbye."
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean, and that's what happens like, and it's tough because like you said, like there's so much better content within like the interviews and like a lot of the stuff going on in the competitive scene, but unfortunately a lot of those just like fluff articles are what are selling, like that's what people are wanting to click on. And and I'm sure that's a case, there's a case for that with multiple games. But yeah, I definitely feel like and we talked about like the margins within like the age demographics, and I definitely think there's gonna be an interview with a pro CS:GO player is probably gonna have way more readings and then an interview with Booga, like you said, just because of the age difference of players there. You have in the 20s more people viewing that competitive scene. Whereas even realistically, though, at the same time, like Fortnite still is such a bigger game.
And there
And
are
that
plenty of like older people playing the game too.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And that was a big thing. Is like being a streamer, content creator, and being 25 within the scene. Everybody loves to throw like the boomer word out for me, for any of us. And so I'm like thinking sometimes, I'm like, am I old for playing this game? Then I realize I'm like, there's still a lot of like content creators that are full time in their 30s, or people that are just playing for fun that are still in like their 30s, 40s, or whatever. So I'm like, there's definitely a good age. Like, there's definitely older people playing it, but you're right. It's tough when it comes to the people reading it because there's so much good content out there to be seen, to be read. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there has to be a lack of attention span that within the Fortnite community, people just want to have things thrown at them fast and they can see it and then be done. And I think, what? I think I love it. I love Twitter. But that platform itself definitely has made that tough for people to want to read because it's so easy just to get the news you need in just
Tweet.
one tweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people read that and that's good. That's all they need. And then maybe they'll read the thread a little bit and see if there's more, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's strictly even esports and gaming things. Like you look around, like
Yeah.
a lot of media is going the way of like those fluff articles. You see an article like the queen was killed, and then it's just like dot dot dot, and then you find out no, she just died from
Yeah,
illness
exactly.
and old age. But it's crazy to me that all this now within Fortnite has continued, right? Because I'm sure the
Mhm.
guides that you do and the articles you write do a lot better than the things that I was writing for esports.gg. Because like you have a different interest than me, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, and that caters to more of a general audience, whereas like I was that guy only writing about FNCS or DreamHack, and
Mhm.
anything besides that was not interesting to me, but also not interesting to really anyone.
Yeah.
So, where do you see like you as a writer? Like, what do you want to do moving forward with your position, or is there different kinds of content you want to put out through the written medium? Like, what do you think is next for you?
Well, I would love to see more larger content creators and competitive players within maybe not even just the Fortnite community get involved in the writing scene, not in the sense of them writing, but like even just like a tweet, like being like, hey, like say you wrote an article about Booga and you put it out, there's more than likely if that happened right now, he's not gonna post it anywhere. But if like just say even like a retweet could help with the numbers so much and just spreading a little bit more awareness to the writing side with media, because it's still a really relevant form of media, art, whatever you want to call it. And so, but it needs that push now because, like I said, people are so into video, especially video styles of media or just really short form styles of media. The only real way that you're going to be able to get people to click on your articles nowadays if you clickbait it pretty much. And at that point, it's like, okay, are you really being true to the form of it there? If you're going to post like like you just said with the Queen thing, if you're going to post some type of title that has nothing to actually do with your article just to like I say, leave that for YouTube. Like, don't be doing that with the writing side of it. But that being said, like, I love writing for esports. I don't really see myself writing journalism wise for anybody else.
Nice.
For like really any other type of like genre either. It would be kind of cool. I've always thought it was just because of how many movies I watch to be like an investigative journalist. And like get like really into some like crazy stuff, but then I'm like, that's where a lot of people end up missing, and then you never hear anything from them. So like maybe I want to get into that.
You can do it within the esports space. I'm sure there's a ton of unwritten stories about some like scheme or scam that happened. I mean,
that is really true. That is a good idea. Like if I was given a lead on like, hey, we think this player might have been cheating somehow or whatever, and then I start investigating into that, then I'm like the one who exposes it. That's a way to get the article seen, I guess.
Yeah.
There. I mean, that's a story. That's a good story. Yeah, I mean, I love writing that. Like I said, I also write my own screenplays and stuff too. So I'd love to see one day in the future something I write with that actually get picked up by like a production company. But that's a whole other thing right there. So.
What's the most recent one? Or the one that you're working on or just finished? What's it called?
The one I just finished is called The Bunker Diaries, and the one I'm working on right now is called Erasing Mindy Kaufman.
Have you thought about like publishing anything as like a book, or you write them strictly as screenplays?
I write them strictly as screenplays. I've never written as like a book style. I actually have a friend, she does that. She writes like teen fiction. And I mean, I could try it. It's definitely, I like the screenplay style of writing more, and I think that's just because I'm first off like a huge movie guy, love films. But also, I like the formatting too of writing a screenplay. It's obviously very different than formatting a book, and screenplays, you're telling a story with pictures basically because you're writing it for a film. So it's a little bit different, a little bit more direct because you're saying the actions and everything that everybody has to do. But yeah, and really all that though, I mean, all the movie stuff aside, I really hope to see that medium of writing within the esports scene keep value, and that it hopefully gains more value in the future. It doesn't just depend. I mean, like I said, I can write the best article anyone's ever read right now, but that doesn't mean people are going to read it. There needs to be some sort of support within the community too. People wanting to share it around, people wanting to say like, hey, this is cool. So I hope there more awareness can get spread with that people realize like, hey, this is still like, people are still writing stuff, like good stuff here for you to read about, good information. So, because words are powerful. I mean, words are talking about, a video game, but like at the end of the day, like words are what changed the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there is room for written content. Especially within the Fortnite scene. Like one, I remember, I might be the last article I ever wrote. It was when Saf retired. I wrote kind of like a legend of Saf and talked about what he did, and we don't really know what he's doing next. And he shared that. People love when they get themselves hyped up. So that was one of the ones that like got that external influence, and there was a decent bit of clicks. I don't know the numbers on it. Um,
But you're saying like it definitely helped. Like
oh yeah,
whereas if you wrote that and he didn't share it, it'd be a lot, yeah, less. So
yeah. Do you think that Fortnite content will? Where do you see Fortnite content going in general? Because I feel like right now we're kind of at a down period, or at least it feels like it compared to previous times. Also, Fortnite has had some absurd numbers, so it's hard to keep those absurd numbers. And I feel
Mhm.
like everyone's always constantly comparing the peak to what is going on now, but it does seem like it's trending downwards as far as content. Where do you see Fortnite content trending, whether it be written, visual, uh, anything?
Dude, that's such a tough one because Fortnite itself, like I'll always be like, oh, Fortnite's it's on its down. Like this might be the end of like Fortnite being huge, and then they'll do something that like blows it back up. I mean, like we look at like what Zero Build did back in spring, and that brought a whole new player base to it. I mean, you still have some really large names like Tfue and stuff back playing the game whenever there's Zero Build tourneys. So it really it I don't. It's hard to predict with Fortnite because they definitely have surprises up their sleeves. So I'm one can hope that they still have some stuff ready on the back end for if it really does start to go more downward, that they're able to throw it out there and it's going to bring a ton of people back. We got the Invitational in November, so
You
I'm
coming to
curious to see
that?
how that. Yes, I'm actually just got a press pass, so I'll be
Oh
riding
hell yeah,
there. So I'm hyped for it. Yeah, yeah. I finally get to see you in person.
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, we're doing like a. Are you coming early?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay, because I'm trying to do like a barbecue at my house like Thursday or Wednesday that week before the stuff goes
Okay.
on. Just have a bunch of people because I live right there, so might as well
Yeah,
have all the
I
homies
would
out.
totally be down. I would totally be down. Well, I think Matt's gonna let me like stay with him,
Oh hell
sleep on
yeah,
his couch. So yeah, I mean that wouldn't be me like getting extra an extra hotel night. So that would be dope. Well, I'll keep you updated on that one. Getting
yeah, yeah.
closer.
We'll chat
But
about that later.
yeah. But no, talking about that, like I'm curious to see what that does numbers wise. Like if it's gonna be like a huge viewership, like everybody wants to know what happens, or if it's gonna be a dud. Um, I mean, I I'm hoping because it's the first thing they've done in person since World Cup that it ends up like being huge that everybody wants to watch it. But obviously I have no idea. My goal that weekend is to get as much good press out there as possible to get people really into it, and I want to help it as much as possible. But who knows? And who knows? Fortnite fans can be wild too, so they might be all they. I don't know how people react and stuff, but it seems like it looks like ticket sales have been pretty good for it too. So as media wise, if that does well, then I'm hoping they complement off of that and figure out other ways to really expand their viewership and just everything they're doing.
Yeah, this is a big test, the Invitational, and
Mhm.
I know Fortnite loves to like test things, look at numbers, so I'm curious as to like what they're gonna consider this a success,
Mhm.
because what we could see might not be what they consider success, because I'm sure someone will be like at some point screenshot the Twitch viewers, be like, Fortnite's dead, it's the first
Uh-huh.
land since World Cup and they don't have 3 million viewers. Like, okay, but like you can't just go from, let me think, we're probably at 12 to 20,000 right now for an FNCS. You can't just go from having that fan base to then having 3 million people, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
40,000 might be like an absurd number. If you consider
Mhm.
doubling your audience for an in-person event, that would be wild. Plus, I have no idea how many tickets we're going to sell. I would imagine it's a couple thousand.
Mhm.
I say we're going to sell, but Fortnite's going to sell. And
Hey, we're the Fortnite community, man, so we count
yeah, it'll be
there.
fun. I'm just a as a fan of competitive Fortnite to finally get like the best of the best in the
Yes.
same room, and no longer it's ping out the window. No excuses as far as
Hmm.
region goes. It's literally all coming down to like who is the best team at the end of the day. So I'm super
Hmm.
excited to see that. That's something I've longed for a while now, hoping to see like the top players go at it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I'm actually crazy hyped for this. It's gonna be a good weekend.
Oh
It's
yeah.
coming up. I mean, it's literally in like 2 months from this weekend.
Yeah.
So
And we'll see. You should try and get some like interviews and stuff. Reach out to
that would be
players.
sweet. That would be sweet. Yeah. See if I can just get like a quick before game for some, and then hopefully hit up some of them that do well and get some after game interviews.
Oh yeah.
That'd be awesome.
People love to talk about themselves, so just like hype
Oh
them
yeah.
up and be like,
Oh
"Yo,
yeah.
you're the best. Do you want to do this for this website?"
That's sweet. That's a good idea. But yeah. No, I'm excited. I really hope it does well.
And for you now, you've hosted your own tournaments
Hmm.
as a creator, but also kind of like an admin, essentially.
Hmm.
How has running your own scrims tournaments, like you do pretty regular events for your community, how have you been received as far as those like players go, and how have the tournaments been going for you?
Yeah, it's interesting seeing the player base that plays my tournaments because it'll range from I'll have kids that are just casual Fortnite players, and I've had pros jump in. Like I'll have like I remember one time I had like a lobby. This was like 2 weeks ago. I was running like solo scrims, $10 prize solo scrims. And everybody playing is just like casual, never earned money within the game, and then like Scented comes in my chat and he's like, "Yo, how can I get in these?" So and all these kids are like, "Oh shit! Like you got to be kidding
I
me."
just
Uh,
lost.
yeah, and it's funny watching that because I'm not like you look at someone like Manu who does like Vital and stuff, and that's a lot more like I'm not gonna say my stuff's not competitive, but it's more so like anyone can play. So like it's like there's the competitive side to it, but everybody's not playing with that same competitive aspect as if you're playing in like a really high ranked lobby
Right.
where because there are definitely times in my tournaments where I'll watch people play because I do a lot of viewing parties for them, and they'll make decisions where I'm like, "Ooh, you just that's definitely something you're not going to see in one of the higher lobbies there because you just screwed yourself and the person you just went for, pushing them in a terrible spot, stuff like that." So it's it's a whole monster in itself because it's fun, but it can also be chaotic in that same sense. But I think that's what makes I have a very laid back Discord server. It's not like East Open G2 or KNG type of Discord scrims where it's like really strict, ran by times. I run something almost every single day. Might have like 1 or 2 days off a week. And it's pretty laid back. Like uh, everybody can have a good time, kind of chat. It's just kind of like coming in, having a little tournament. But numbers wise, at the same time, like even though it's laid back, like it still brings in a lot of people. Like we're at the highest I've had in my Discord for ran numbers and tournaments. I mean, late game arena last week was like 300, 400 lobbies queued for a lot. Well, not for one lobby, it's obviously 60, but like 300 to 400 people queued each game,
Right.
and I'd run like 10 games in one night. So
Jeez.
it's I'm at definitely at like an all time high. Uh, but it's like I said, it's more of it's like a casual competitive server or whatever. So anybody's able to play. It's and I kind of market myself off of like a because I do like viewing parties, and if it's like a scrim, I'll probably play the scrim sometimes just to get like shit on, uh, pretty fast. But I like marketing myself as not just as like a dude that's hosting, but like I still want my streamer persona to be in there because you have a lot of like other streamers in the past that have hosted only hosted like I do, but then they end up quitting because it's like, oh, people are watching me for the stream, but they don't give two shits about me other than that, watching other than my tournaments. So like one thing I've like really tried to work on still is like keeping that somewhat like energetic comedic persona so it's not just me sitting at a screen talking about watching people play, but I'm still trying to like at least make people laugh or interested or something within the game. So I still have that like streaming community, and it's not just the tournament community that's coming to play, and that's it. So
Yeah, you just get that buff when you do host tournaments, and you're a pretty funny guy. I enjoy your humor. It's
thank
similar
you.
to the way I like to joke about things, so it works for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I think my first time I ever made you laugh, I remember it, was when you posted that somebody took your name on Fortnite. And I was like, well, now you just got to do somebody else's gun. I always was like, that was a great joke, Bryson, right? When I typed it up, I'm like, this is a golden joke. And I was glad you appreciated it.
there's some things you respond to me, I'm like, that is exactly what I would respond as. So like, and a lot of people probably look at us like that makes no fucking sense, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
sometimes you just got to say like the most wild shit. And that's why, like, that's what's funny. Because people are just like, what?
yeah, exactly. Just
Yeah.
you start getting those whats, and it's perfect. It's like, all right, I
Uh-huh.
got you.
Yeah, and I love doing that to Panda because he always is like super thrown off. I'll like say something really random to him, and he's like, "What the fuck? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, dude, I don't even know anymore. Like, just
Yeah, it just popped in my brain. I threw it
and I
out
just
there.
let it out. That's
Yeah.
the improv side of me. It's just like once it's there, I just have to say it because my whole mindset with it is like, you're constantly thinking of random shit to say that's funny, and you only say the ones you really think are gonna do it every once in a while. Then there's and say you have a 90% chance of your jokes flopping, then you say that one joke you think is funny every couple weeks and it flops, then people are just going to look at you like, what the hell? But if you say everything that comes to your mind and 90% of it flops, but then when one flop, people are like, oh, that's just Bryson. But when you have that one good one, people are like, oh, that was funny. So that's how I
Yeah.
think about it. So that's how I go about it.
Oh, I like that. That's a great mentality about it. Wow, that was a little tangent. Back to you as a streamer in a like hosting tournaments. Do you feel like it's a burden at all? Because I've talked to a lot of people that run like tournaments regularly, and it seems to be not sustainable. But you've been doing this for a long time, and it seems like you still enjoy it just listening to you talk about running
Mhm.
tournaments. And it might be because that casual competitive audience is probably where you want to be, not like the uber competitive people, because they're going to take that stuff
Yeah.
way too seriously. But have you ever been like burnt out from just running tournaments? And do you have any cool stories about some dumb DMs you've got?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I've been burnt out. I've definitely had like streams by the end of it where I'm like, I gotta fucking get off, turn my computer off, and not talk to a single person playing this game for another week. Just because of, but you host tournaments and kids are gonna get mad no matter what if they die. So then people be trying to tell me somebody else was like griefing or not following the rules, and then I'll look at it and I'm like, dude, you got shit on. Like, accept it, accept your fate, man. You can't just claim everybody's griefing. Um, and that's the hardest part sometimes about having really good people come in and then they just destroy a lobby and everybody gets mad. And I'm like, well, I'm stuck in this like middle where I'm like, I want the larger people to play my tournaments because it gets my name out there. But then 95 other players in there are just pissed because they're all just doing terrible. But I wouldn't say at the same time, I have a very like shit happens mentality to where like if somebody gets mad, I kind of just tell them to like get over it. And then majority of my community responds well to that. And they'll be like, yeah, I guess you're right. And it ends up creating I think a well balanced and more fun atmosphere because most people just come in to kind of have a good time and maybe possibly win some money. But other than that, they're just like, oh, well, this is going to be fun practice and I can hopefully get some good entertainment out of it. And that's what I'm trying to give to people. So I think that is a big one because, I could have a night where I'm running solo scrims and 300 people queue up and it's crazy. And then the next night I could be running it and 60 people queue up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've found a good love for entertaining and streaming to where like even when those 60 people queue up, I'm still having like a good time. I think that's a big part of it is a lot of people are doing it. You have to like obviously streaming tournaments will help bring in good numbers, but like you have to look. You can't let it get too much about that because once you do that, uh, you start looking at it more as like the job aspect of it, as oh you have to host this tournament, so all these people come in. And I try still to look at it as like, oh well, I gotta host this, but like this is gonna be fun. Like I'm gonna have a good time, and that's why I also think like sometimes I'll do like zone wars and stuff too because it limits my viewership a little bit, but it also just allows me to kind of vibe out and play with the community and talk with people. And if I die right away, I can watch others and maybe do some like commentating over them, whatever I want to do, just whatever happens in the moment. So, yeah.
That's a good mentality to have because I feel like a lot of people, like I've even put myself in there, is like you let your mood decide, or you let the numbers decide what your mood is.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then like inherently you're just hurting yourself if like your
Mm-hmm.
stream's not doing well or something like that. And then you're then not in a good mood. So then why would the people that are actually there even want to stay?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and things just fluctuate. It's one of the hardest things. Devin Nash talks about it a lot. Is like if you go from 1,000 views to then 3,000 on one stream, and then you average 1,250, you're gonna be upset that you're averaging 1,250, even though you were just averaging 1,000 like that entire month before, and it makes no
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? But learning how to deal with that is super important, and
It is.
you just enjoying being you and hanging out on stream sounds like the best way to do it.
I agree with you. Now you know what? That was one of the biggest mentalities I had to change is realizing that there is always, no matter what spot you are in, there is always somebody below you that wishes they had what you had. So like I look at when I had one viewer, there's still people below that that wish they had the equipment to set up a stream and even have one viewer. When I had 10 viewers, they, you know, it's the same thing. They're that same me when I had one viewer would have loved to have 10. I remember having 5, 10 viewers and looking at people that average 25, 30, and I'm like, that is a dream to get to somewhere like that. And now, like, it's so hard to be satisfied because I'll find myself averaging like 100, and I'll look at someone averaging like 250, and I'm like, damn, like I would just love to be at that point. And then at the end of the day, you just got to realize like everybody's journey is different. Some people might have a blow up overnight. Some people it might take time. Like that's just how it goes. Just do it for yourself. Have a good time. Find your niche, what you enjoy doing, and just go from there.
Hell yeah, some great advice. That's getting clipped, 100%. um no, I appreciate you being real and just
Yeah.
enjoying doing what you do because you balance a lot of things, right? You're still in school, you're writing,
Mhm.
you stream, and you're also in Zen. So
Yeah, so I do a lot with them as their like community manager and just helping sort things out there.
yeah, tell me about that. Like, what does that all entail?
It really just, I mean, a lot of it is, you know, I do a lot of things like I try to set up like little events with like on their stream and stuff or stuff in the Discord just to kind of keep everybody like talking. I have like grinder chats for like all the kids that are like Zen, what you want to call like a Zen grinder or whatever, and that are like just really big a part of the community. So it's really just mainly about like keeping the community active and not it just being like everybody just watching like our YouTube videos or watching like the pro players do well, but instead it's like, hey, sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna go live and watch your guys' videos like on the Zen stream, or I'll get like some other Zen players, like maybe I'll get like Bacon, who's one of our pro players, to go live, and now all these like kids that are grinding for like the competitive scene in Zen will be like, oh, I want to get someone who's gotten top 5 in FNCS to watch one of my videos, and that's like a cool moment for them. So kind of like sorting a lot of that out. There's some other business side behind it that I do too, like just like updating spreadsheets and stuff with people's numbers and everything. But on the main side, it's mainly just like kind of keeping the community like enapt with each other and everybody just keep making it a good environment for everybody to be a part of.
Nice. I like that. That's necessary. I feel like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
orgs don't necessarily have that community involvement. They like
Mm-hmm.
post content and then just hope that it does well, but
Okay.
getting buy-in from people, whether or not they know that it's buy-in, like being able to participate in one of those like montage reviews or
Yes,
playing in
exactly.
like
Yep.
a Zen hosted zone war is huge because then they're inevitably more interested in that organization than just watching, like you said, Zen Bacon on stream or watching his highlights afterwards. There's
Hmm.
a big piece which the esports community has the ability to do, which is include people. In traditional sports, you can't necessarily go ahead and get LeBron James to go play against a
Yeah.
bunch of like 5'10" kids, maybe
Hmm.
5'5", and it be any bit reasonable. Occasionally you could have it be like, oh, look how cute this is. He's playing with like some random kid. But in esports, there's more parity between people. And if you're the best, like Bacon might not win every single zone war game. There's going to be some kid that winds up killing him. And that's like the best thing in the world for that kid. He's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just killed
Exactly.
said Bacon.
Uh-huh.
So that's cool, man. Is that the first organization that you've been a part of?
Definitely the first like actual like little bit larger org. I mean, early on in my streaming career, I had some like smaller stuff that I would be a part of that was just kind of like Instagram orgs, that were just
Okay.
like posting clickbait videos of people free building, and that was kind of it. But this is like the first big one that I've been a part of, and I really enjoyed. I enjoy not just being like a creator for them, because I do stuff on the creator side too, being a little bit like having numbers. Like I'll get sponsorship still and stuff through them because I'm a creator, but also doing like because you'll have people within orgs too that are a creator. They'll get signed on as a creator, and that's really all they do. They don't like really interact much with people, the community of the org and stuff like that. Whereas like, there is a large with all orgs, there's a large community that follows the org strictly and not just somebody that's in the org. So it's like, uh, I really think and I think for a lot of different people out there, they're really missing that extra fan base they could be getting if they really just were more interactive with whatever organization they're in the fan base for that org. And I found that big time. Like I've met like all these really cool kids that are big fans of Zen just because I interact with, like the people that are grinding for Zen or just wanting to be a part of the Zen community. And I'm like, oh, there's a whole new, not just fan base, but like friends that I've made throughout like this area right here. So
Nice. How long have you been with them?
since April, beginning of April.
So like 4 months or so.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Nice. Hopefully that continues. Sounds like you're
I would
enjoying
like
it.
to. I'd like to stay with him. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I would think they would like you too with all the work you've been doing, and it seems like
Mhm.
you've been continuing to grow. So good luck, man. Hope that continues for you.
Appreciate
Um,
that.
of course, man. Now, lastly,
Okay.
what else do you do besides create tournaments? You write. Like, who is Bryson? Like, say you had to describe
Okay.
yourself.
So outside of gaming and everything, well, we already know the writing and gaming. I mean, we can also put the journalism within gaming because it's literally I'm writing about gaming and everything. Um, I'm a musician. I mean, you see my guitars in the background.
Can you play us something?
Before can I play something? Those guitars wouldn't pick well up on this mic.
Okay, I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
But I actually was a touring musician before COVID. So from 2015 to 2019, multiple times a year, I would hit the road with a few other guys and we'd tour. So I did that for a long time.
What kind of music would you play?
It was like punk rock.
Okay.
So had a little bit of like an underground sound to it, where it was a little like raw, a little bit like we found our demographic was a little bit like less popular, but then it also it was an easy fan base to grab because it was like having that like cult following that kind of found us or whatever. Because we have like I think we have like 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify right now.
Wow.
So that was definitely something I did for a while, and then COVID happened. One of our members has like a family now, so it's just kind of like life moved on, and that's how I kind of got because I started streaming end of 2019 going into 2020, and that's where I got streaming is where I started my whole esports career. So I did that. I am a huge outdoors guy. I love hiking. um, outdoor activities, skiing, whitewater rafting, a lot of stuff like that, rock climbing. I was actually, it's crazy. I have not been in great shape since I was like a sophomore in high school and played sports.
Okay.
Um, and then, but I was still in good enough shape to do the things I liked, but I was still like, I had that dad bod rocking or whatever, and still like wasn't exercising enough. Yeah. But I worked at like part time. I worked at like a bar for the longest time. So like just running around for 12-hour shifts some days bartending, kind of gave me that little bit of I wasn't really gaining weight, but I wasn't eating healthy or doing anything healthy with my life. And then over COVID, I gained a ton of weight. I was up at like 250 pounds at one point, and I was just lazy, wasn't doing anything. And then I remember, I think it was like last summer, I went to Colorado, which is like my favorite state. Love Colorado. And I was hiking a hike that I do literally all the time. Every time I go out there, it's a beautiful hike, and I couldn't do it. I was like in so much
Hmm.
pain. I was like, oh my God, I'm so out of shape. And then in the winter, I went skiing out there, and I could barely do it. And I'm like, dude, this is what I love doing. And that's when I was like, I got to make a change. So, uh, been super active about health, fit. So completely. I mean, I've lost all that weight I gained over COVID, but now still like working
Good
on
for
it.
you, bro.
So we're down like 55-ish, 50 between. It fluctuates. I would say about like 53 pounds right now.
That's big, man.
Down. Yeah,
Congrats.
thank you, man. I appreciate that. So we're keeping that going. That way, I'm excited for like this winter. When ski season happens again, and I can actually like be in like the best shape of my life and go crazy at it. Always in the gym. So I always try to promote health now. I'd love to. One of my goals, I'd love to find like some type of sponsor that because I got rid of like I cut out all energy drinks, so I'm like done with like energy drink stuff. So I'm like, I'd
Nice.
love to get a sponsor instead of like G Fuel or something. Find somebody that like sponsors within like the health aspect of like whether it's like protein or anything out there that would be like being able to be a creator and promote health. Because I've seen even you post about it. I mean, as what we do, so much of it is sitting in this seat. Like we gotta make an importance of it, especially for the competitive players that are playing that game 12 hours a day.
Dude,
Like
it's
health as
incredibly
well.
important to like
Yeah,
just even go outside and go for a walk because
yeah,
I had a similar cycle like you of during COVID, even probably 3 years before COVID, if I'm being honest with you, just being a jackass and doing nothing. And
uh,
then finally, it was a moment like I gotta stop being a fat ass. Like,
yeah. I feel that. I feel that. And now I'm like in a weird state where I'm like, wow, I'm actually in like the best shape I've been in, and I'm still like getting in better shape. And now there's like parts of me that'll like have like these random manic moments where I'm like, dude, I want to be able to do this. I want to learn how to whitewater raft in a kayak by myself down the Colorado River for like a 4-day trip, or like
please
sometimes I'm
don't
like,
do that by yourself.
I would have to get like a team with me probably. Or I'm like, what if I climbed Mount Everest one day, man? I'm like thinking of all these crazy shit that I'm like probably never gonna do, but I'm like now that I'm actually like in good shape and don't feel awful like exercising, I'm like, oh, so yeah, that's me.
That's you. That's a lot. I'm glad that you've taken your health into consideration and even start promoting like healthiness. One
Mhm.
thing that stood out to me was you said no more energy drinks, which is something that I think is a massive problem within the esports and gaming community is how often these energy drinks are promoted. You
Mhm.
got Ghost, G Fuel, Red Bull, Monster, and like all these other companies that are trying to do it. It's and kids shouldn't be doing that. Like you shouldn't need energy as a like 14, 15-year-old child to have to like have caffeine. And maybe there's that one person that's like, yeah, but I have like this and that and I need caffeine. I'm like, okay, well, fuck you. Drink your
Yeah.
caffeine. But um yeah, it's to me, I don't have any kind of like supplements that I take. Like I'll take a vitamin, but I think just eating healthy, learning how to cook food so that you have like a balanced nutritional diet is huge, and not relying on caffeine for your energy. Granted, I say that and I have a cup of coffee every morning.
Still, it's still better than the chemicals and stuff that's put in energy drinks and everything. So
Yeah,
coffee's
fair
not
enough.
as. Really, water and sunlight. That's what you need. Uh, Water and sunlight. The second you wake up, pump your body with water and get 15 minutes of sunlight. That's what I've learned. One of the best ways to start your day, and it gives you so much energy. Oh, look, we got a doggo in the back.
Yeah, that's Era.
Era.
She's coming to say hello.
Calvin walked out. He got really bored of the conversation. He was like, I do not fucking care about Fortnite, man. You talk about this all day. I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah, she comes in here. I put a bed in there, so I have like one in the corner like you do, and she wants to lay on the couch every time.
Yeah.
So just
Calvin will sometimes lay here, and then he'll go in like my room or downstairs or some shit.
yeah, she's an awesome dog. She's definitely coming in here because she wants something. That's the only reason she comes in here. She's like, I know I'm not supposed to be in here, so come let me outside or get me water. Yeah, she just perked up when I said that. We'll go in a little bit, Chief. Yeah, sorry. Did you ask what kind of dog she is?
Yeah, what kind of dog is she?
She is a boxer mix. So she's boxer, Staffordshire Terrier, and then like a bunch of other stuff. So she's a mutt.
Nice.
But
yeah, Calvin's a mutt too, so I feel that.
The best dog, like so loving. It's incredible. I've never had a dog that likes to cuddle as much as she does.
Yeah, Calvin's super attached to me. So sometimes I'm like, and I think it's half because I raised him over COVID, so he's like a COVID dog. So he's like always with me. But
yeah, same
that's
with her.
another thing though, with my health, and Calvin's such an active dog, is like being able to do long hikes with him and stuff. It's great. I love it.
What's your favorite hike? You said you like going out to Colorado. Is there something that you really like, a trail or something you'd recommend?
Yeah, have you ever been to Colorado?
No.
There's a lot of stuff within the Rocky Mountain National Park that's really cool, and there's a lot of big name hikes that'll be kind of busy, but it's definitely worth to do. Like one of my favorites is like Emerald Lake.
Okay.
It's beautiful. And then there's some really like hard hikes that are like 9-10 miles that are like Sky Pond Lake that less people are on because they're so much longer, but I highly recommend. So if you ever get yourself out there, Rocky Mountain National Park.
Emerald Lake and Sky Pond Lake. Got it. I'll try and remember those. I'm not good at remembering things.
Well, you know where to get a hold of me if you ever go out there. So
yeah, you're pretty easy guy to get in touch with.
I'm there.
But thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We'll have to run it back sometime. I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you've watched any of these, so you may or may not have done your homework. But first of all, where does UnamusedBryson come from?
So it actually comes from the name of my band that I said we toured all the time.
Okay.
It's called Unamused Dave. So that's where I always had the handle UnamusedBryson, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like this by itself, so I just made it my name.
Is your name actually Bryson? Because I've learned.
My name is Bryson, yes.
Yes. Okay.
So that's always a big perk, is like with how people within the gaming industry are called by their handle. People actually just call me Bryson but that's what they know me as by my handle. So I'm like, oh, people just call my name Bryson is what people call me as now because it's UnamusedBryson. So
yeah, there's some fakes out there apparently, like Oliver.
Yeah,
his name's not Oliver. That wild to me. Next, what is your favorite Fortnite skin?
Ruby.
Boom. Quick, easy answer. Okay. And lastly, what are you going to be up to next? Where can people find you? Give yourself a shout, my friend.
Head over to my Twitch, UnamusedBryson. That's where a lot of my stuff happens. TikTok, YouTube too. We post videos daily. Twitter, where you can follow me. Everything's UnamusedBryson. Nothing's different. Twitter I'm posting stuff every day. You can see my normal thoughts on everything going on within the esports world. And then if you go to esports.gg, you can see a lot of my written articles, which we talked about. So,
hey, make sure to go check him out, whether it be his written stuff or the videos or even the live content. Fun guy to hang out with and be around. Join his stream. If you like to play some tournaments, he's got you there too. And if you're a pro, I don't know about that, but we'll see. Nah, just kidding. And thank you guys at home for watching. Appreciate you, whether you're on Spotify, some other podcast platform, YouTube. If you have any complaints, as always, send them my way. Somebody's gun on Twitter. You can shoot me a DM. I may or may not respond. But that's all for the FN story. It's been another wonderful episode. Thank you again, Bryson, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you, brother.